What if Ahsoka died at the second battle of Geonosis during the Clone Wars? That's our story for today. Hope you guys enjoy this one, and let's get right into it. Our story begins on Geonosis, as Anakin Skywalker and Master Luminara Unduli are defending their forces from Separatist droid reinforcements. Over the last couple of days, the Republic has been executing an all-out siege to destroy the droid factory here, and they were in the final moments of completing this mission. The Padawans of Skywalker and Unduli, Ahsoka Tano and Barriss Offee, were supposed to have placed bombs on the reactors and gotten out of there by now, but inside of the factory reactor room, Ahsoka and Barriss were found placing the bombs, and the bombs were disabled as now a Separatist super tank was closing in on them inside of the room. Luckily, Ahsoka and Barriss managed to hijack the tank, and they were now left with just one option. Outside of this room, heavy reinforcements waited for them. So, they aimed the super tank gun at the reactor, and Ahsoka called to Anakin. She said that she was not going to make it out, and that she's sorry, and Barriss fired the heavy gun directly at the reactor. Anakin heard Ahsoka's message from the outside, and before he could do anything, a chain reaction of heavy explosions began from the reactor room. The explosions quickly spread throughout the entire factory, and soon Anakin, Luminara, and all of the clones had to get to cover as a giant wave of dust was headed towards them. After a while, the dust was clearing, and Anakin had search parties organized. He was beginning to freak out. He had to find Ahsoka, and next to him, Luminara was calm, seemingly at peace. Anakin couldn't believe she would just let her Padawan go like this. As everyone searched, Anakin received a faint signal from Ahsoka's communicator, and they dug up the debris to find the super tank that they were in. Anakin felt so much relief as the door was broken open. Ahsoka stumbled out of the tank, and Anakin saw that a metal pipe went right through her gut. Without saying a word, Ahsoka stumbled, falling dead into Anakin's arms. Barriss died from head injuries inside of the tank. Anakin looked down at his Padawan. He failed. Again. He promised his mother he would never fail, yet here he felt numb as Ahsoka died in his arms. Luminara was saying something, but Anakin heard none of it. He slowly stood up, carrying Ahsoka in his arms, past Rex and the 501st, as they removed their helmets to look upon Ahsoka one final time. They all watched as Anakin boarded a gunship, flying up to the Republic Venator above the planets. Anakin would place Ahsoka in the medical bay with many fallen clones, saying he would avenge her death. And he left the room with the same feeling that he had when his mother died in his arms. He was supposed to protect Ahsoka, and she died without him. After some time wrapping up on Geonosis, Luminara would meet with Obi-Wan and Ki-Adi-Mundi to deliver the bad news. Both Jedi were saddened, but Obi-Wan quickly asked where Anakin was. He knew how Anakin would react to this. Luminara said he was in his quarters getting some alone time, but Obi-Wan began running to Anakin's room to find it empty. And then he discovered that one Republic speeder was taken from the ship without authorization. Obi-Wan ran to the communications table, punching in Anakin's last known coordinates. He was across the planet, clearly tracking whoever he thinks is to blame. Obi-Wan told the other two Jedi they need to leave right now before Anakin does something he is sure to regret. Across Geonosis, Anakin was seeing red. All he could think about was revenge for Ahsoka, and so he managed to track down Poggle the Lesser and his escaping group all the way to some sort of hidden hive. Anakin got ahead of them, and now he waited for their arrival. As Poggle, 3 Geonosian warriors, and 5 battle droids reached the hive with their tank, they prepared to enter when Poggle suddenly saw the 3 Geonosians being lifted into the air, choking on nothing, and then their necks were snapped. The 5 battle droids were ripped apart like nothing, and now Poggle was left alone with Anakin Skywalker. Anakin punched him to the ground and realized now where they were, the home of the Geonosian Queen, and many more of Poggle's people. Anakin told Poggle his people would all pay for what happened here today, and he cut through Poggle's wrists and then his wings before boarding the tank, firing heavy shots all around the floors and the walls as it began to crumble in on itself. As the entire area collapsed, killing the Queen and everything inside, Anakin dragged Poggle out into the sand, and once Anakin was satisfied with the destruction, he stabbed Poggle through the chest to kill him. Anakin stood here now, lightsaber ignited, for more minutes than he realized. It wasn't until he heard the voice of Obi-Wan that he snapped out of this dark side trance he was seemingly thrown into after Ahsoka's death. And as Obi-Wan called out for him, Anakin realized something. He failed again, but his failure was not letting Ahsoka die. No, His failure was how he acted after it happened. His failure was letting his mother, and now his Padawan, turn him into a monster. He embraced the darkness. Anakin wondered how he would ever react if Obi-Wan died, if Padme died. And he realized now just how out of control and how broken he was. He knew he needed help. Obi-Wan would slowly come up to Anakin, and Anakin fell to his knees as Obi-Wan came and gave him a hug, telling Anakin it will be alright. Mundi and Luminara looked upon this destroyed hive with shock, and then to Poggle's massacred body. Anakin did all of this. Obi-Wan helped Anakin up, as Anakin said he couldn't help himself. Obi-Wan said they will get him help, and they traveled back to the Venator. Once in the ship, Anakin and Obi-Wan went into a shared Jedi quarters, and Obi-Wan was helping Anakin stay calm, as he finally fell asleep, getting much needed rest, allowing Obi-Wan to brief the Council on everything that has happened. Once back to Coruscant, a funeral for Ahsoka and Barriss was quickly organized, and all of the Jedi Council members, along with anyone close to the Jedi, watched in silence as Yoda laid the Jedi to rest. Padme was here for Ahsoka, and her presence helped Anakin remain stable. Padme knew that Anakin and Ahsoka were only together for around a year, but Anakin felt responsible for her life. She was like a little sister to him. When the funeral was over, Anakin was standing in front of the great tree alone, when he felt Master Plo Koon standing behind him. Next to Anakin, Plo was closer to Ahsoka than anyone else. He found her as a child, and brought her to the temple, and he told Anakin that he was at peace, knowing that Ahsoka was now at peace. The cosmic force is built on the light side, and Ahsoka's presence flows through the force even after death. Anakin told Plo that he knows, and he is finding peace now, but his reaction to her death was wrong. It was irresponsible. It was not what Ahsoka would have wanted, and Anakin told Plo he needs help learning to let go. Anakin was beginning to see that everything in the galaxy dies at some point, even stars eventually burn out, and if this was how he reacted to Ahsoka dying, then he knew he could be a threat to everyone if Padme were ever in true danger. Plo told Anakin he can guide him to the help he needs. Long ago, Plo spent a year at the Dawn Temple. Anakin asked what this was, and Plo said it is a remote Jedi sanctuary built on the planet Speentir. It is watched and protected by a group of Jedi, and it serves as a spiritual retreat for Jedi who have lost their way, so they can reconnect with the light side. Anakin shook his head, saying he can't just abandon the war. He can't leave the Jedi, his clones, or his... Anakin nearly said wife, but corrected it to just saying he can't abandon his duty. Plo put a hand on Anakin's shoulder, saying that finding the help he needs could be the best way to serve those he cares about. And Plo asked Anakin to take the night and just think about it. Anakin agreed to this, and would soon spend the night with Padme, discussing all of this with his wife. Padme loved Anakin, but only she knew of what he did to the Tuskens after his mother died, and now massacring the Geonosian hive in cold blood for revenge. One massacre she could look past and think maybe she could fix him, but it was clear to her now that Anakin truly was dangerous. Yes, it all came from a place of love, but she couldn't bear the thought of what Anakin would do if she died. So the two of them decided Anakin must go with Plo to this remote temple. She will still be here when he gets back. In the morning, Plo was waiting by a Jedi shuttle when Anakin appeared in the temple hangar. Plo said he just had a feeling that he may find Anakin here, and Anakin smiled a bit before boarding the ship. Plo briefed the council on this plan, and everyone agreed it was a good idea. Get Anakin away from the darkness of war for a while, allow him to find peace in the Force, and return when he is ready. So Plo and Anakin would fly to Speentir, soon coming upon the remote sanctuary. It was a fairly large structure in a snowy planet, nowhere near the size of the Coruscant temple, but it could easily fit a few dozen Jedi if need be. Plo and Anakin entered the main door, and Plo greeted the old Jedi Protector here. The Protector was an older Zabrak, and he was named Linus Harand. Plo said goodbye to Anakin, and Anakin would walk through the sanctuary with Master Harand. Harand said there were 12 Jedi here currently, but only 2 of them were adults. The rest were anywhere from age 7 to 12, and the 2 adults here were twin girl Jedi from Pantora. Anakin would walk through the entire sanctuary, and soon he would enter a guided meditation with Master Harand, and Anakin quickly felt the immense presence of the light side was here. Very quickly, Anakin almost forgot what the darkness even felt like. Everything here was just so peaceful. Anakin would quickly become acclimated to the peaceful, remote life here on Speentir, and as the weeks turned to months, Anakin matured to a new level in the Force. He had no connection outside of this planet, but he trusted in the Force that the war was going well for his friends. He did miss Obi-Wan and Padme quite a bit, but he just knew that they were safe. The Force here was quiet, and Anakin was at peace. Every day was fairly similar. Anakin would wake up with the sun and spend a few hours in the training room, quieting his body and mind through peaceful meditation, followed by battle meditation, fighting off training droids with his eyes closed, feeling only the serenity of the light as he moved. He would eat and study Jedi texts and holocrons next to the large fountain. The rushing water reminded him of Naboo and helped him stay focused. Anakin would then take time with the group of younglings here, helping instruct them in different ways. It was refreshing to be here, as no one thought of him as the chosen one. He was just welcomed in as another Jedi seeking help. Most evenings would be spent with the twins, Tarsi and Tarek, as the three of them would race up the nearby snow mountain, and once up top, they would watch the sunset, feeling the Force around them before returning to their beds for the night. Anakin was, of course, now extremely close with the twins and Master Harand after many months here, and this routine would be repeated for around a year, until Anakin was far more emotionally mature than when he arrived. He would have visions of Shmi and Ahsoka, both telling Anakin their deaths were not his fault, and Anakin would learn to accept death as natural. It is good to mourn those who die, but in order to remember them, one must live on through them, find peace and love, not revenge and hatred through their memories. But one day, as Anakin was nearly ready to leave, something happened. The Separatists, searching the Outer Rim for new planets to create bases on, stumbled upon the Jedi Sanctuary. As the droid forces landed, Anakin, Tarsi, and Tarek were able to defend the Sanctuary against them. The droids were defeated, but once it was over, a loud rumbling could be heard. The snow mountain near the Sanctuary was now creating an avalanche, and the heavy snow was pouring down towards the Sanctuary. It was intense. Panic momentarily ensued, but Anakin was working on evacuation. He managed to get the younglings onto the ship, but before everyone boarded, Master Harand and the twins realized they were not going to make it out. At least, not without a sacrifice. All three of them looked to Anakin, telling him to get the children out of here. They will use the Force to create a momentary opening through the snow. Anakin said he won't leave them. He can't. But Master Harand put a hand on Anakin's shoulder, telling him to be at peace. This is the sacrifice of the Jedi. It is their honor to lay down their lives to save him and the children. And Anakin closed his eyes, feeling the light of the Force. Tarsi and Tarek told Anakin they will always be with him through the Force, and Anakin let go. He nodded, boarding the ship, seeing now there truly was no escape without help. The wave of snow crashing down on them was beyond huge. Anakin flew through the air towards the wave, and the three Jedi grounded themselves to the temple, feeling the Force, and they reached out, creating the perfect opening for Anakin to barely escape through as the snow crushed down on the three Jedi and the temple. Anakin felt their lives fade away, but he did not feel angry. He was at peace, and he lived on through them by escaping and saving the younglings. On Coruscant, Obi-Wan and Plo Koon waited in the temple hangar as Anakin arrived with the younglings. They all went with Master Sanube as Anakin greeted the Jedi Masters. They were very sorry to hear of the incident that forced Anakin to leave early, but Anakin said he couldn't have done it without the help from the other Jedi, and the three of them walked through the Jedi Temple now, discussing Anakin's journey as well as the Clone Wars, until the three of them would find Yoda and Mace Windu, and Anakin would tell the four Jedi he wishes to be taken out of the war completely. He wants to remain in the temple, take up a role of instructor or archivist, or whatever else he can do. The four Jedi would not force anyone to fight in the war, and so they agreed to Anakin's ideas. Anakin would spend weeks with Yoda, as Yoda would show Anakin how he instructs groups of younglings at a time. As Grandmaster, Yoda enjoyed training each and every Jedi at least a little bit, and Anakin was sort of shadowing him here, learning Yoda's methods to teaching the younglings, and Anakin would combine his younger, newer ways with the teachings of Yoda in order to guide the Jedi younglings. During this time, Anakin would reunite with Padme, and the two of them were ecstatic to be back together. Padme could instantly tell how much more mature Anakin has become, and in their apartment, Anakin would place Ahsoka's lightsabers and Padawan braid in the main room to always remember her. Anakin and Padme were happier now than ever before with each other. With Anakin taking a large role as a temple mentor, Yoda would take it upon himself to go into the battlefield much more often, as a sort of replacement for Skywalker. and he fought well, adding a new wrinkle to everything for Palpatine, who was quickly becoming impatient. After hearing Ahsoka died, Palpatine could feel Anakin through the Force. He was a violent storm cloud, just waiting for a master of the dark side to guide him to his true destiny. But the Jedi sent him away to some planet that the Jedi refused to tell Palpatine about. And now Anakin has returned, but he's changed completely, and so plans for Palpatine must change as well. Through the months, Anakin would truly embrace his role as an instructor for the younglings, and the younglings loved training with Anakin. He was much more relatable and outgoing than Yoda, allowing the Jedi to be more of themselves and have fun with the training, while also learning from one of the most powerful Jedi. Anakin would see shades of himself in many of these younglings, and was healing some hidden trauma to guide children in the way that he never got to be guided because of his late arrival to the temple. And one day, late in the war, Anakin would hear commotion at the entrance to the temple. He looked out to see Yoda and Obi-Wan guiding a captured Dooku to the temple prison. Dooku was captured on Obadiah as Yoda and Kenobi were following the trail of Sifo-Dyas. Yoda outmatched Dooku in a duel, and now the Separatists were greatly weakened, and the Jedi Council decided that, upon Grievous's imminent destruction, Palpatine would have to be forcefully removed from his position if need be. So within days, Grievous would be located on Felucia, and the Jedi would send Aayla Secura, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Kit Fisto, and Saesee Tiin to the planet to make sure Grievous does not escape. And they were very successful, as the Republic took the Separatists by surprise, sending a huge fleet along with the 4 Jedi to destroy Grievous and the Separatists. And when it was done, Yoda and Mace Windu decided to go confront Palpatine themselves. If he does not give up his emergency powers, he will have to be arrested, the 2 Jedi decided. And so, as Palpatine learned that Grievous was destroyed and the 2 Jedi have arrived in the executive building, he moved to his communicator and did what had to be done, executing Order 66. In the temple, the sun had set, and Anakin was on a balcony with around 20 younglings. They were practicing different lightsaber forms, when Anakin could hear sounds of battle in the distance. As the blaster fire got closer, Anakin sprang into action, getting inside the temple to see countless clones firing upon the Jedi. Anakin guided the younglings through the temple, taking out clones around every corner, doing what he must, until they reached the elevator to the council. They would go up the elevator in 2 groups, as Anakin protected the doorway, then followed everyone else up, and once inside the council chambers, Anakin told everyone it was going to be alright. He grabbed his communicator, calling to Padme, telling her clones were attacking the temple, requesting she come pick up the younglings from the council chambers. Padme said she would come as fast as she could, and Anakin told the children he was going to go back into the temple and try and help whoever he could. But as Anakin turned away, the elevator doors were opening back up. Someone else was inside. They were followed here by Count Dooku, who was freed by the clones upon Palpatine's request. Dooku entered, saying today the Jedi and Republic fall to the new Sith Empire, igniting his red blade. Anakin felt no fear, no anger, no hatred. He felt only the calm, focused battle meditation that he would need to defeat Dooku. Anakin stood in front of the hiding children as Dooku shot lightning at him. Anakin caught it with his free hand, absorbing it, telling Dooku that his dark side powers would not serve him well here. Without further words, the duel would commence, as Dooku struck first, his moves swift, calculated, each strike aimed to test Anakin's defenses, as the 2 of them hadn't fought in years at this point. Anakin parried with equal skill, his style much more balanced, fluid and dynamic than Dooku expected, a blend of strength and agility, while still being focused in the light. The sound of the sabers clashing echoed through the council chambers, each blow lighting up the room with blue and red flashes. Anakin spun around, and their sabers locked together, the energy crackling between them as they stared each other down. Dooku admitted that Skywalker is strong, but told him he is naive to think the light side is any match for the dark, pushing against Anakin's blade with his own. Anakin, his face set in determination, pushed back with his own surge of strength, forcing Dooku to step back, as he told Dooku he does not crave power. He will not give in to fear like Dooku has. The duel intensified as Dooku resorted to using the Force to hurl council chairs across the room. Anakin deflected them away with ease, his mind and body in perfect harmony together. He leapt through the air, his saber arcing down towards Dooku with blinding speed, and Dooku sidestepped, but Anakin was relentless now. He pressed his new advantage, strikes becoming more powerful. With each clash he drove Dooku further back, closer to the doors of the chamber. The Sith Lord, realizing he was losing ground, unleashed a powerful wave of Force lightning at the children scattered around the room. It wasn't a move Dooku was exactly proud of. Anakin reached out, holding the lightning in place to keep the children safe, and now Dooku redirected the lightning at Anakin, knocking him to the floor in a cry of pain. Dooku said he is doing what he must, and was about to finish Anakin off when a ship rose up to the windows of the chamber. The bright lights blinded Dooku for a half of a second, but this was just enough time for Anakin to ignite his own lightsaber through the heart of Dooku. He then broke the council windows, and each youngling ran onto the ramp of Padme's Naboo transport ship. Dooku fell to his knees, dying in the chambers, as Anakin told Padme to get out of here while he helps the temple. As Padme left, Anakin saw the council beacon was activated, and he answered to see Windu and Yoda. They were in Palpatine's office, and they told Skywalker that Palpatine was Darth Sidious. They confronted him and defeated him, but it appears he has set in motion something with the clone army. Anakin described everything going on in the temple, and together, he, Windu, and Yoda would work to begin evacuation as quickly as they could. It was not easy, as there was a Republic blockade in their way to shoot the Jedi down, but after hours of work, around 1,000 Jedi would safely escape the temple and head towards the snowy planet of Spintir, sending a coded beacon to all survivors to come here. Eventually, around 1,500 Jedi survived and would make it here, waiting for the Republic to figure out what happened. Senator Padme Amidala described what she saw. Security recording from Palpatine's office showed him fighting Yoda and Windu. Over time, it would be decided that the Jedi were not in the wrong, and after the clones had their chips deactivated, the Jedi would return to Coruscant as the Republic was rebuilding with the Separatist Senate to bring peace back to the galaxy with the help of new Chancellor Bail Organa. Anakin and Padme would eventually have children, but not until a year after the war ended, and they would be ushered into the temple to mark a new era, eventually training with Master Anakin Skywalker as the Jedi and the Republic were rebuilding successfully. And folks, that is our story for today. I really wanted to focus this one on a path where Anakin kind of learns to deal with death and really take this path down this road, where he has to actually confront his feelings and can't just use the war to block his feelings away until he has nightmares about Padme. So I thought, hey, what if Anakin just really does embrace the light, gets away from the war for a year, and just turns into kind of a new person? This would help him avoid the nightmares, as the nightmares were able to be given to him through fear. Without the fear of Padme dying or just the fear of loss, Palpatine can't give Anakin nightmares because Anakin doesn't fear it anymore, he just accepts it. So that's the path. Ultimately, Palpatine has to choose a different way. Yoda and Windu are able to confront him, kill him. Anakin's in the temple protecting the younglings instead of slaughtering them. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.